Hey guys, welcome back to Absolutely. My name's Hassan, my camera's not centered, and today we're going to be talking about Invincible's Adam Eve special. I don't know about you guys here in the cast, but I was a big old fan of the last season of Invincible. One of my favorite pieces of media I've ever consumed comic book. It's not Marvel, it's not DC. It's kind of off on its own little place, and I thought it was super awesome. And Dan, who are we brought to you by today? Who's our sponsor?
Brought to you by Gamer Subs, where you can use code COMICS to save money, get some great energy drinks, great waifu cups, waifu shirts, all that good stuff. Gamer Subs, check the link in the comment or in the description down below.
Yeah. So, Adam Eve, did you guys watch Invincible? Did you read the comics? What's your background with it? Dan first, and then Neb.
I watched the entire first. I haven't read the comics. I watched the first season. I thought about reading them, but then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to just watch this one. It's one that like I read a lot of stuff already. I kind of want one where I can just watch it. And from what I've heard, it was pretty true to the comics. So I'm very okay with that. And every Invincible comic fan I knew were huge fans of the show. So I was like, you know what? I think this is one of those ones where it's fair for me to watch just the show. And I loved it. I would honestly, if people in the comments say they would like to see a video of us having watched the entire first season and then review it before season 2 comes out, let us know down below, because I would love to do that. That show sold me on the Omni-Man versus the entire Guardians of the Globe. That fight was what made me go, oh shit.
Ending of episode 1.
This. Yes. Like, well, because like episode 1, I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. Yeah, and then it ended with that, and it was like, oh, this is going to be a lot different than every other thing that involves superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Neb, what about you?
I had heard of the comic, obviously. It feels like most comic fans like know about Invincible at least, and they'll like post him every now and then. So I was like always curious, but when the show was about to come out, I was like, okay, let me look at this comic. I mean, it's the same writer as The Walking Dead, so I'm sure it's there's something to it. And yeah, I just like blew through it. It was a genuine plot twist for me. Nobody had ruined the Omni-Man thing at the time. I think it's a little bit different in the comics. I don't recall anymore. But yeah, that was like when it really sank in. Like that's such a well done plot twist. Probably like one of the best of all time in the medium. Mm-hmm. And I got through like maybe like 60 to 70% through with the comic, and I had to take a break, and then I just never got back to it. But
it's a very hard to read book.
I pretty much know what happens in general, and it's just it was incredible. So when the show was coming out, I noticed that like it wasn't doing too hot initially, but I had a feeling that it would be one of those things. I feel like The Boys was similar, where it wasn't popular right out of the gate because it's just it's new. And then Invincible has the obstacle of being animation as well, where people don't take it as seriously for whatever reason. So once that season, like episode 1 credit scene got spread around of Omni-Man fighting the Guardians of the Globe, and then once the finale came out, it just instantly became like a new cultural thing, which is just so cool. And yeah.
No, and it's also something that I don't fully understand why it's like this, but the first season and now the second has one of the most star-studded voice casts in animation history, period. I have literally never seen an animation cast that rivals this one, and the amount of people they added into this next season, even crazier. And I can like pull that up later, and we can read some of the names off the list because it's absolutely insane. I loved the first season. I was hooked. I showed it to my friend. We watched the whole first season again, and that was like maybe 6 months, 7 months after I'd seen it. And then I immediately was like, I can't wait anymore. And I found the comics and I've read it. And then recently somebody on TikTok has been basically like posting panels, like one by one of the entire comic book. And we're all the way up to like where season 2 is about to take place. So I've been rereading it through TikTok, which has been really fun. But yeah, I mean, you love the show. It became meme fuel where it's like, think, Mark, think. J.K. Simmons is amazing in the role. So good. Steven Yeun is so good. Gillian Jacobs from Community playing Adam Eve is so cool. Huge fan of this. And the Adam Eve special. I know we're 4 minutes in. We're just going to get talking to the main thing because we just like this show so much. And it's been so many years. Like, I can't believe it's been this many years since that show came out. It was like,
wait, when did it come out?
2020, right?
Yeah,
maybe
It was
Maybe
2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. Okay,
Oh,
2021.
March of 2021.
Yeah,
dang.
it
Still a
feels
long
so
time
long
ago.
time. And okay, immediately Adam Eve special. Our animation got beefy, huh? Oh my god!
Right?
Look who has a budget today.
Well, it's funny. It's like they had a high budget and a low budget at the same time.
I was gonna
Where-
say that, yeah, like because
Yeah.
there were parts where I was like, "Wait, what is this?" What am I
Yeah, it's
Static
like
watching
we
image
could
right
goes.
see
Static
them-
image goes. And then-
Exactly. They diverted the background character budget into that one fight scene, and it had to be like maybe not the best animated fight scene I've ever seen, but it has to be like top 5 ever made,
was
right? Like
good,
that is
yeah.
insane.
It was good, and like the emotional through line. So, this episode is about Adam Eve's entire backstory. It's irrelevant from season 2, but it's also really good texture for the world, and it explains that Adam Eve essentially just do. It explains her power set again, but also tells you that just because of a mental block, she can't do anything with like real flesh. But it's a mental block, which means she actually does have that power. So functionally, is a god beyond a god. A lot of people on Twitter were comparing a Green Lantern. I was like, did you watch the episode? Green Lantern who, dude? From Blackest Day, from Blackest Death. Are you kidding? You're dead now. Like, great, good. Say your oath another time, buddy. Jeez. Like, it's not even a question. So this episode surrounds her honestly gut-wrenching backstory. I mean, it is a devastating story. She says it at the end in the final fight scene where she's like, you killed my family. You killed people I didn't even know that I loved. And it was heartbreaking. I really love this. I was not expecting to care this much. I was like, oh, I'll watch it. It's Invincible, right? Like, whatever. It was just incredible. It really, really was the emotional through line. Lance Riddick, one of his final roles, by the way, before he passed away.
Yeah, rest in peace, because that guy's voice, it sells so many roles of just very powerful individuals. Like
he was playing Zeus in the Percy Jackson live action series. He was casted as Zeus, and I think maybe he recorded some before he died, but they're probably gonna have to recast him. But incredible, and his voice, it's villainous. This episode, just like not giving a crap. And then also, one of my favorite voice actors of all time is in this, doing the thing that I can't stand it that they make him do. Corey Payton, best known for Cyborg. Booyah! He voices every black background character in media, and I've had it in Young Justice. It got very jarring in Young Justice because he was voicing Calderon, Black Lightning, and one other main cast member. He was doing really different vocal inflections, so it's fine. But then the villains are like, hey there, I'm about to fight in Corey Payton's voice now. And it's like, don't do it. I love Corey Payton. For some reason, the show chooses to make him every background black extra. Still is that was the theme in season 1. It is definitely going to be the theme in season 2.
Because I was watching Adam Eve with my husband, and he pointed it out where I don't remember who he plays first in the episode.
Black Samson.
But, right. So he shows up and he's like, "Oh, that's Corey Payton. Yeah, he was in this show." And then later on, like he's random police officers showed up. Oh yeah, I think he's the babysitter as well. I'm not positive.
Isn't he the babysitter as well?
I'm not sure. See, that's what's so useful about Amazon Prime is you just pause and you can see.
It's actually kind of
like,
clutch. Everything else about that player, very bad.
Horrible.
Does not work.
Very cool. So yeah, and then the cop showed up, and my husband was like, "Oh, that's going to be Corey Payton, I bet you." I was like, "Nah, surely it isn't." And then he spoke, and it was Corey Payton. I couldn't believe it.
I'm a police officer. Booyah. No, Corey. No, you can't say booyah this time. They have to stop him in the recording booth.
If I recall correctly, I believe like Greg Wiseman, producer of Young Justice, said that it was a union thing. And I don't know how that works. I believe it because it's such an odd thing that happens across different shows, but yeah, sure. But yeah, just somehow it's related to union work. And
which is why he is most of the background characters?
Yeah, because I know it's like basically if you have like union, like if you hire a non-union voice actor for a project, the voice actor still basically like writes you off, and then you just can't get any union one. So it's somehow related to that. I don't know specifics, you know.
Gotcha.
But it would explain like if there's any reason at all that it's always Corey Payton.
It's always Corey Payton.
I feel like it would just be a great, like if it just happened accidentally at first and someone was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Are you okay with doing this? He's like, yeah. Like this would be like the best joke. Who am I? Well, I'm this background guy. I'm this background guy. I'm this background guy.
I mean, he plays so many people. It was so funny. He played so many people on Young Justice. He didn't get to play Cyborg, but he did play Cyborg's dad.
Of
for
course.
no
Yeah.
reason. It was awesome. And it was really,
Obviously.
it's like, Victor, it's going to be okay. And he's doing like, I really do. And here's the thing, we're joking about it. He's such a talented voice actor. He is one of the
He's so
most
good.
talented
Very.
voices.
And he's just a good actor.
Oh,
'Cause,
he's just
like,
a great
Oh, yeah.
actor. Emotional, the heart. I mean, you go back to Teen Titans, a show that surprisingly was very mature for its time and its generation. And I think this ties back in Invincible just because it is the predecessor of like the reason why people are primed for media like this. And he had some incredible line deliveries. I remember that whole episode about him not really being a human anymore. And he's like, "Yeah, Raven, it's just different." It's like he'll say something like little things, and
Yeah.
like he was like toying with the ring that made him look like gave him like regular skin texture, like the hollow ring. He's like, I almost feel like me again. It's like, man, you're so good, and
And
you're
it
gonna
could
be
be-
everybody forever.
like as a Robert Kirkman thing, it might just be also because he was Ezekiel in The Walking Dead, and that's why I said he's just like a great actor in general. Just he was just on that show for years, like and he was just amazing there. He's everywhere, dude. Like good for him. Honestly, he's probably getting paid so much for this.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, back to the main stuff of this episode. The fight scene's great. The power set, I thought they did a really awesome job showing her kind of being different. Like I don't remember reading this in the comics, so maybe it was an offshoot panel, maybe it was its own issue. I don't remember it, but it was really interesting. Hate to say it, I think Adam Eve's dad is worse than Omni-Man.
Yeah, I
Controversial
did not like
take.
him.
Controversial take.
No,
It's not
I
controversial.
love how that's usually what happens. Like when people called like Shazam's mom like the worst villain in the DCEU, like even
my
though
God,
others
she's
are
the
straight
worst.
up murderers, is like,
Bro,
you're not wrong though. Like,
Murder
it's
as
always
many
easier.
people as possible. Shazam's mom was like, I just don't give a
Yep.
I don't give a about you, Shazam.
so
Get out of
funny.
here.
You can always single out like bad parents as opposed to like Thanos. Like you're like, yeah, whatever,
Thanos was actually a
it's too
pretty
many-
good
He was
dad.
a
I'll
great
take-
dad to come.
Gotta
over.
say,
I mean, maybe a
really
little bit
good
abusive
dad.
to the one adopted daughter, but to the one he
You know,
liked, he was pretty
compared
good.
to the other things he
50-50.
did,
Every
good
all
job.
all things in good balance. You gotta have a
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
50%
And
of
so-
parenting is a mistake.
I liked how even Eve's stepmother was shown to like not be perfect and was like just getting like frustrated and everything, but she was still trying, right? I think that was a really
She-
cool depiction of
Yeah,
it.
she had more moments where she was like, okay, she's a kid. I need to be better. Whereas the
Right.
dad was just a douche.
I mean, he was just an angry guy who didn't deserve children, like many in this world now. It felt
I mean,
so
it-
real. It
I
felt
was-
so true to the real world, and I think that's what made it so frustrating.
Yeah. I think that's actually one thing about Invincible that I admire is a lot of like the interpersonal relationships between people are very realistic. Like they aren't very fantasy like all the other ones were like, oh, we're the best friends and we're always going to be best friends. No, it's like we're best friends. Oh, you showed me something one time that really creeped me out and okay, now we're never friends ever again. Like like with Eve and her friend, because it's like, yeah, that does happen. Like you can be really good friends with someone, think you can share everything, and then you learn that you should not have. Like
Especially at that age.
exactly, especially at that age when you're so impressionable and both of them already feel like freaks and outcasts and stuff. And it's just, I feel like that aspect of those relationships in all different areas of this show is also what makes it so good and makes it feel less in line with other animated shows where they do tend to go more fantasy, oh, everything's great kind of stuff.
Yeah, and even the villains of this episode were like extremely understandable. And it was a cool concept, first of all, that every clone was like less pervert than the last. So then the like only like was it like number 2 or I don't remember how they were designated, but like only one of them could even speak English.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a really neat concept. And then like Eve was just horrified that she had to kill them in the first place and didn't want to, but they were forcing
It was
her.
such an upsetting scene when they like, I mean, they kept trying to like catch each other and save each other. Then that's what was really hurting in that fight, where it's like they're these gross, disgusting creatures, and then randomly they're like trying to catch this like biomass goop of their siblings. Like, no, I couldn't save them. And originally I thought they were just experiments too, and then you saw the color of their eyes, and I was like, oh no, it's the same color as Eve's eye, and it's really upsetting.
Yeah. Especially
really
when
cool
you
way to
see
kill
the-
them though.
Okay. I mean,
I
yeah.
gotta say.
It was
It cracks me up that like they sort of it's like Eve could always do shit as cool as this, and they just waited until her prequel episode to show that. And it's like, I mean, all right, I guess. It's
I
like
thought it,
it-
yeah, I agree with that of like she has been able to do this stuff but didn't really. And I kind of like that they do that they gave her moment to shine without taking away from the Invincible story
yeah,
and Mark and Omni-Man and all that. And like I do also like that they showed Omni-Man and like his opinion of Mark at that young age as well. I like that they snuck that in at the end. But yeah, I'm glad that they gave her her moment in the spotlight because she's pretty awesome, and I hope they use a lot more of her in season 2, which I assume they would, because why else would you release such an
yeah,
awesome
yeah.
special?
I always wondered how the timeline ran up because people are like, "Where's season 2? It's been so long." It's because like the first time you make a show, it's always going to take longer, and then now that they have like assets and everything, it's an easier time. But still, animation just takes forever.
Oh, yeah.
It's so long, and like we're finally getting it, but they knew that they had to hold people over, and I think it was another sleeper sort of thing where I think a lot of people saw that there was an Adam Eve special and they just like wrote it off. Like I was planning on watching it, but I just didn't. I don't think anybody would see like an Adam Eve special and expect it to have a sequence like that necessarily. Just
Right.
like that goes so hard. And so then, that spreads through word of mouth and then everybody watches it. And it's just, yeah, like, and we just keep like going back to the fight scene, but like, honestly, like the story was, that was just great. She's really one of the coolest, like, female superheroes I've ever seen. Like, is really cemented with this episode.
I'd
Everything
agree
about
with
her.
that.
And the voice acting is great. The character design is great. Like the costuming is awesome. I love that she has kind of like a little kid version of her costume almost. Like
Yeah.
it's the skirt instead of it just being the super thong or whatever we want to call it. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think that's a great idea, but it's funny that she's got the skirt. She's kind of got like a hoodie on the back, which like when I was a kid, I was thinking about like the epitome of like a cool costume has a hoodie attached to it for whatever reason.
Obviously.
No, you're absolutely
Obviously.
right.
It was really dope that she kept it when she made her Adam Eve suit. Her power set's just ridiculous.
I loved how her powers evolved. Like
Yeah.
you could see not just actually not even her powers evolving, her mindset evolving. Like like during that fight that we keep talking about, that moment where she blocks both of them and then just you see that click and she just collapses it and builds an armor and she's like, yeah, this is the better way to do that. And like you see her learning and evolving and changing her powers and like such a cool ability set of just being like, oh yeah, I can change molecules. I see
She's
it
extremely adaptable.
Yeah.
And just showing how I feel like most people who write genius characters, they're not geniuses. So it's, you can't just like say a character is smart. Like, like Marvel has like 30 billion new like kid geniuses like once a week. And it's just, this is an example of a actual genius who, as far as I'm aware, they say that like she gets some of that intelligence from her powers as well. Or like,
No, I think I think she has to be getting it all from her powers, right?
yeah,
Like,
like
maybe-
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the guy lies to her and says that his mom, her mom was like a scientist with him, but she was a homeless person
right.
that he like paid to do all these
Mhm.
experiments onto.
Yeah, and so it's a realistic data where like she's so smart that she's adapting through the fight, like on the fly, thinks of destroying that part of the bridge, like and just immediately does it, and does everything in such a way where she's not hurting civilians either, and like because
Oh my
it's sort
gosh,
of,
when she's diverting the cars in
Right.
just complete panic. Oh my god.
Oh my god,
And
that's one of the coolest things I've ever
So cool.
seen. Eat your heart out, Man of Steel. Adam Eve can do it. Why can't you?
here we
No,
go again.
No,
Oh,
but like
God.
I literally think about that. Though. Like that is something that is so important to superhero media that I'm glad is finally being portrayed. The importance of keeping collateral damage down, and that not just by being like, let's take this to a wasteland. No, like you have to fight in the city sometimes. How are you going to protect the citizens?
Mhm.
That is what makes you a hero versus like a vigilante or a fucking cop. Like you're actually trying to protect people, genuine protection of people. And then she just like, she flips the car around, gets the family out, and then chucks the car back at them.
So awesome.
Dude, their insurance deductible is going to go through the roof. You screwed this family over, actually.
It's really important to, especially in a universe like Invincible, where Omni-Man says, like, like what's like one planet of people, you're like insects to me, it's like nothing. It's really important to show like the value of human life in those sort of things.
Mhm.
And like it's easy to just forget that in stories like this, like the boys or like I think of it a bit like the Warhammer universe that I'm not very knowledgeable about whatsoever. It's just the idea that there are like trillions upon trillions of people. So like you can blow up like several planets and it's like not even a noticeable loss. And it's sort of like this ridiculous scaling. So when you have all these alien civilizations with different genocides going on, it's easy to lose perspective. And I think like that's what it still makes Invincible so good, because when Omni-Man in the season 1 finale does that thing with the train, you're horrified.
God.
Whereas like, but like, you know, in The Boys, you sort of lose that novelty the first time like a mass murder happens with a superhero. But you know, it's like when you build up that like everyone's still a person, they have their own lives going on, their own hopes and dreams and all that. It shows that, you know, when heroes care about people, it makes you care more. It was a really cool thing to include in the fight, so I appreciated that a lot.
Man, that this show, I'm just so immersed in these characters. Something about Mark Grayson, and maybe it's because he's Asian. I don't know. I'll go ahead and say it. I do appreciate the representation, but there's something so like relatable and like I feel very tied to this character and in this story in a way that I haven't felt in like a lot of things. Like, God damn it, I'm gonna get so much shit. I like Young Justice. I never felt that tied to it. You know, like I never felt like I could put myself onto any of the characters. Like I like Dick Grayson. I'd like to say I'm a Dick Grayson type, but that's just me wanting to be Nightwing. And that's, you know, that's a different thing. You know, this show just feels like it's like whatever, everything Mark does is what I would do. You know, I don't think I'd make the same choice as Eve Wilkins, though. I think it's like a lot of what she was doing. I was like, just be normal, Eve. Just be normal with them and then go do cool God stuff. Stop showing people your powers. Because I'm like, I want you to be cool, but I don't want people to hate you. Stop making people hate. I get like so sensitive to it. I was like, please stop. I don't want people. I got so upset when her friend was like, get away from me. I was like, no, you're a friend.
Yeah.
She's busy looking at valence electrons. I thought the kid was going to come back, the babysitter kid. I actually thought he was going to be one of the kids in that initial robbery that she stopped, of like the dog robbery or whatever. I was like, oh man, they're going to tie it back to him and she could do something violent. And I was, thank God they didn't do that.
Right.
Like I thought they were going that way, but I can't. This show is very gruesome. And for those of you who haven't read the comics, you're not ready. If you thought Omni-Man beating his kid through a subway train and killing everybody on the subway was bad, you have not seen how bad this show truly will get. No.
You know, something that was being said during this, that no, you got to leave it now. The cat has decided that is theirs. No, I'm glad, because going back to the mental block on the not being able to do stuff with like bodies, like living flesh and stuff. I have a really strong feeling that, and don't tell me if this is in the comics, but I have a strong feeling that that was foreshadowing for her being able to remove that mental block to be one of the very, very few people that could actually stand against the Viltrumites. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't remember.
Because, like,
I mean, honest, I simply do not remember. I read
it's like the perfect thing to put in there of going, hey, you've obviously got to have someone who could potentially stand against that, but have them slightly nerfed. And that would be the way to do it. Have someone who can change everything, but a mental block, something changes somewhere down the line. Because, I mean, we saw her turn into a god, and I was expecting her to merge Zavala and the scientist together. I can't remember.
Zavala.
That's wherever I think of his name. I think Zavala.
Rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
But like, I was expecting her to do that. Like, I thought that was kind of a moment of her being like, mental blocks are gone. Like, we're showing this is the true capability of this god, basically.
Right.
And so I hope that we go towards that.
A Dr. Manhattan-ish character, but without that whole like personality thing that he has, which it obviously makes sense for like, you know, his power set. But it's cool to just have like you know, some normal like, you know, teenage girl, just but with those abilities is fascinating.
Well, and also like you can nerf her by simply saying like she's not, that amount of power takes up a lot out of her and she can't even do it often or whatever. And then like as powers grow, that's something that they're probably going to do into the first several episodes of the new season. Mark doesn't realize it, but he can exercise to make his powers like he can become more powerful. Doesn't know yet, but that's something they build into. So this universe has a lot of things that like powering up, but not in like the anime power up sense of like, now I'm stronger. It's like I have to work out for this kind of thing. So I'm so excited for the show being back. I really can't stress how incredible it is. Angstrom Levy is about to be the villain, and if you think you hated Adam Eve's dad or Omni-Man, this is the most hateable mother in the entire world. He's so hateable, and every time he's on screen, you're going to want to punch your TV screen. He's such a monstrous piece of trash. Can't wait for you guys to see it. Cannot wait.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
But yeah, I guess that's it for this Adam Eve special review here over at Absolutely. Please comment like crazy if you want this, okay? If you want us to talk about this show, make this video be a 1 of 10. If you guys don't know, YouTube scales our videos and they rank them against each other, and we don't see that 1 of 10, we get a little sad. But when we do see it, we all get very happy. And if this is a 1 of 10, that means we get to cover more of this. I'd love to do that. This show is awesome. This universe is really expansive, and I imagine they're going to do spin-offs at some point too. Lot to talk about, lot to do. So if you're in there, comment down below. Let us know your favorite Invincible character, your favorite story arc from last season, what you're the most excited about for next season. Do you like Adam Eve? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm Hassan, that's Dan, this is Neb, and we're Absolutely, and we'll see you guys next time.
And that's Hassan's cat.
That's Hassan's cat.